Hey folks, we're back on the stream here. My name's Nick Taylor. I'm a lead software engineer at Forum, the software that powers sites like Dev2 and the Code Newbie community. As always, I'm back here with Matt Foley. I think we're week 3 now. Me and Matt have been building out a GitHub action to tweet out to first-time contributors of a repository. And just to give a recap to people in case you haven't been on the stream yet with what we've been working on, the TLDR is B. Dougie was on the dev stream with me and Christina, and then Matt was in the stream chat, and then we were talking. I was mentioning how I do this manually. I tweet out to people saying thanks for contributing to the forum code base, and we were talking about GitHub Actions during that stream. So Matt chimed in, and then I said, "Hey, let's do it," and that brings us to here. So Matt, if you just want to say hi to everybody in case people don't know who you are,
Hey,
and then maybe we can kind of just recap kind of where we got to last time. And yeah, we'll go from there.
sounds great. Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good holiday. And I wouldn't be shocked if there aren't many people online today.
Yeah, a lot of turkey coma.
Yeah, for me, it would be between like this, maybe some shopping, and maybe some yard work. And so I chose this. But anyway, hope everybody's doing good and look forward to getting back into some code.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. I mean, we've been making some good progress. We've been doing this for a few weeks, which might sound like a long time for people, but we're really doing like we've done like I think we did like a 45-minute stream the first time, then like a
Mhm.
1 hour stream last time, and I think this is the third one. Maybe it's the fourth. I don't can't remember. But
I don't know.
yeah,
It's fun.
where are we? I don't know. I got pandemic brain. I just forget stuff. But
Yeah, no worries.
anyways,
So we had, I think at the end of last time, we had managed to get it to sort of echo the GitHub username and also the Twitter handle if it found one.
yeah,
And we had gotten it to verify whether it was the first interaction or the first
yeah,
PR that had been done by that user on that repo. And a lot of the time last time was talking about sort of an alternative way to do that because there's a GitHub action called first interaction, I think is the name of it. And it kind of iteratively searches through pull requests or issues depending on which one you're working on. And it just tries to figure out if the one at hand is the oldest. So we're going to take a different tact and we're looking at using the GitHub search to search for that user, that repo, and whether or not the pull request is merged. And then we're
yeah,
just looking at the count. And if it's basically less than or equal to 1, then this is it. This is the
yeah,
guy.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, no, I was pretty happy with the progress we made last week and well, the past few weeks. And it was good that we like I know we talk a lot on the stream about it and like,
mhm.
we've been doing less coding, but I think it's been really good because we really narrowed down like where we're getting to.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just
So I did want to let me post something in that general chat message again in Discord, and you can pull that up on your web browser because what
yeah,
I wanted to do is just make sure I show kind of the difference of where we left off stream last time, and I did like one or two little patches that same day, just later in the day, because we
yeah,
were
gotcha.
kind of banging our head up against the wall for some stuff related to Bash and whatever else.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just zoom this in a bit, but it is up if you want to just start giving a little talk about what we were doing.
Cool.
There we go.
So there were two or three things I actually like rewrote history on the Git history here because I just had so many commits, like trying to figure out what was what with it. And at the end, there were really like two or three things that got tweaked to sort of make this work.
Okay.
So one thing that we were running into was that this action that we're working on, it's a type of action. I think it's called composite. So I think like that, for example, you can have a GitHub action that is, I want to say it's like it's all JavaScript, or I think there might be another one where you're just reusing actions in general, and then I think this one is called a composite.
Okay.
And there's a particular type, like we were referring to a piece of documentation last time, and I can try to go back and find it. But basically, the document had said, okay, whatever, let's say I have an input for my action called template, then
Yeah.
I should have an environment variable called input underscore template. And it turns out that would be the case if it wasn't for this being a composite action. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can
Gotcha.
probably go
Gotcha.
back and find that, but that's what we missed, or that's where we
Okay.
kind of got tripped up. So if you look at this diff, line 36 is where we were trying to grab that special environment variable called input template message, I think was the name of it.
Yeah,
And
and the GitHub action has it in a certain format, right? Like it prepends it or something, doesn't it? Or is that something else I'm
yeah,
thinking of?
we thought that it would prepend that input underscore and then the name, but it turned
Okay.
out, from what I read in there, that is the case other than for composite actions, which is what
Okay.
we.
Okay, that's what you meant. Sorry, I didn't catch
That's
that
why I
initially.
like, yeah. So if you look on line 20, if you look on line 9, where we just kind of replaced the word template message with just the word template, and also on line 28 and 29, what we're doing there is we're just going ahead and setting the the environment variable template equal to our
Okay.
actions inputs.template. So that's what that line does. And then another thing that we kind of like threw in for good measure here is we went ahead and grabbed the URL for this pull request. That's on line 32 in that diff. And I think I remember like you talked about, hey, it would be good to have that in the template or in the tweet. It would be good to at least have the ability to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because side note, but I don't know what's up with Twitch today. I've tested my internet speed and it's like 400 megabit download, and Twitch is choking. I don't know if that's just on the client, but we're all good here. So hopefully it keeps coming back. But I don't know if everybody's got turkey coma and just watching Twitch or what. But yeah, what I was saying about the that HTML URL variable in the pull request is having that URL is really good because GitHub, I can't remember. I think the GitHub issues and PRs and repos had social cards previously, but they have really nice social cards now for like Twitter and stuff. So that's why I was saying it'd be nice to make that available. Like somebody doesn't have to use it in their template, but I think it
Mhm.
would be a nice thing to add in the default template because it just kind of pops when you see the tweet. So
Yep.
yeah, that
Yep.
was it. And also just referencing the issue, like the pull request that they actually merged, in case people want to check it out. So
Cool.
cool, cool. All right.
And then the last thing that I kind of tweaked and had to really like bang my head up against the wall. We were trying to use this command line utility called well SED. I think it's like Stream Editor is the name of it or whatever. And it's meant for doing like adjustments to text files and things like that, like manipulating text files iteratively and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, what we ran up against is that when you are using that tool, because you are using an environment variable to do like a substitution, and because we are expanding that environment variable into the substitution argument, what it
Yeah.
basically means is that our delimiters for specifying all that, it can't be a character that's in that message. And so
Okay.
what we're doing is we're like putting an extra constraint on the tweet message, call it implicitly. We don't really mean to, but like I
Yeah.
ended up trying to use a pound sign because normally it would be a slash, but there's definitely slashes in a URL that you're going to put inside of a tweet.
Yeah,
Pound
exactly.
sign, yeah, you might have them too. So, um,
Pound sign you could for sure in a URL because like if you have the hash at the end of a URL.
yep, yep.
So,
And
but
so
yeah.
I looked, and apparently there's this. I didn't know about it, but apparently there's this find and replace kind of utility syntax that you can use in Bash, and so that's on line 39 and 40. And
Okay.
it's pretty much you put like a dollar sign and then brackets and then whatever the variable is that you're kind of swapping things out from.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the next two arguments are what you're going to replace and then what you're going to replace it with.
Gotcha.
Somehow that just sort of lays out correctly. But
Yeah, yeah.
eh,
Oh,
um,
you always learn something. There's so much there's so much command line stuff I'm probably not even aware of. Like, yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah. So it was one of those things that I think, back when we talked about this thing, you definitely 100% could do this in JavaScript, and definitely this part of it would probably be a lot
Mhm.
easier in JavaScript, just to find and
Yeah,
replace kind of thing. But I get the impression this thing runs pretty quick. And part of me, at least in my experience, when you're using like either a Docker action that has some node stuff going on inside of it, or if it's just a node that you spin up, you're going to wait for the setup node part of the action to run. You're going to wait for like an
yeah.
npm install. And anyway, so,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good call, like, I mean, if the action really required JavaScript for something, like, obviously people will
mm,
probably write actions in the languages they're comfortable with, including
right.
Bash. I don't know if
Hmm.
Bash is considered a language. I would assume, well, just knowing the command line tools, kind of
Yep.
mini languages, I guess. But yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. This is like, it's when we've run this in the with the test repo, it's pretty quick. It's like
Hmm.
I go to check it and I start the action when I run it manually and it says it's still doing it, but it's already processed, and like the the UI gets a little out of sync with I have to
Hmm.
refresh it, and it's pretty snappy. So I think,
Yeah.
the little pain points we're hitting with some of the command or the bash stuff, not that big a
Hmm.
deal. Just
So I think the next thing that I wanted to jump into with this one was to start to wire it up to sort of the second half of the action, which is we would reuse an existing
yeah.
GitHub action that sends a tweet.
Okay, yeah.
The only step that I would want to take before that is just to make sure that it's only going to actually send the tweet if it's like a non-blank message. So if you were looking at that diff still, you've got line 37 through 40 there, and what you're looking for is making sure that the Twitter username inside GitHub is not null, because that's how it would kind of come back if they didn't have one configured. And then
Yeah.
also you want to make sure that that first variable is set to true, because that was indicating that this was the first tweet. So if those two things are
Oh, yeah.
true, then it's okay to proceed. And prior to that, we set tweet to a blank string. And so when we get to the last step just below that of setting the output to tweet, or setting that output to whatever tweet variable is, if it's blank, then that means that the validation didn't work.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
that's what we want to kind of wire into the next step. And I think that there's something where you can, it's like it's either needs or if, or it's one of those two, like when you're trying to sort of put an action together. So I'm going to paste a link in
Okay,
that Discord that I'm going to kind of refer to and take it from there.
cool. I'm gonna go check in the Discord there. All right. The create a composite action, that's it, right?
I think so. That's definitely where I'm going to start.
Okay.
And actually, it might be in a different spot. I have to find it now. This may take me a minute to sort of find the syntax.
Oh yeah, no worries, no
Mm,
worries.
I think I'm looking for like needs or if. Is
I'm
anybody
still
popping
talking.
into the chat?
Two lurkers. It's probably somebody I know or somebody you know who's probably doing work or just like
Yeah,
chilling out. The good old moral support. I wasn't really expecting
yeah,
anybody or barely anybody, so but
no
doesn't
problem.
matter. It's we're recording it, and I'm just still kind of perplexed a bit about the stream, at least when I'm watching it on Twitch, because I'm always paranoid about like making sure things are going fine, and it kind of keeps buffering on my screen every now and then. But like I was telling you, like Discord's fine, my internet speed's like blazing fast, so hopefully it's just the Twitch client or something that's like, or maybe it's my browser just doing something funky. I don't know. But if there's any lurkers in the stream, wanna just let us know if it kind of keeps buffering or not. But oh, Todd's here. Hey, Todd. Todd's somebody I know from my virtual coffee group. He's
Oh, dope.
also he's pretty known in accessibility circles. He's written for like think he's written for Smashing Magazine, and I think CSS Tricks as well. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving, Todd. Todd is a big fan of lobster, which is I know you can't see the Twitch stream chat, but I saw pictures he was making stuffing for lobster. So I guess he's making a lobster like turkey. Either he had it yesterday or today, but either way, I think if you're eating a massive lobster or two, that's definitely pretty equivalent to turkey coma potential. Yeah, hey.
I meant to ask you, Nick. I saw the thing on Twitter, I think, about your ice rink that you were like putting together in your backyard or something.
Yeah. So long story short, one, I don't play hockey. I live in Montreal, which is like hockey city. I'm
Mhm.
not a I've never really skated that much. I just have bad experiences with ice skating, which is like blisters on my heels as a kid and like chafing hands while you're trying to tie your skates in the cold. But my one of my daughters, she's into Ringette, and we were talking about this at the virtual coffee on Thursday because a lot of folks probably outside of Canada don't know what it is, but it's hockey like, and so it's like picture a hockey stick but no like the blade literally cut off of it. Yeah, Todd's saying he did have the Thanksgiving baked stuffed lobster. But yeah, so the ringette stick is literally, think of it just like a blunt spear kind of, and then instead of a hockey puck, you have this ring. It's probably about, I guess maybe like a 5-inch diameter ring, and it kind of looks like an uncooked bagel, like that kind of circumference, I guess. And so the
Mhm.
idea is you stick your stick in the middle of the ring, and that's how you bring it across the ice. But it's got different rules from hockey. Like there's still nets and stuff like hockey, but unlike hockey, you can't have like breakaways and stuff. You have to pass as soon as you get to like a certain line and stuff. And anyways, all that to say, pandemic obviously for the past couple of years, hitting year 3 here, and they couldn't practice, and just kids being bored as well. Like you can't really go anywhere during a pandemic typically. So, and not that we have pandemics often, thank God. But anyways, I built the rink last year, and the funny story behind it is I used to play rugby, and one of the guys I played rugby with is from Australia, and he's been building a hockey rink for years now. And so me, a Canadian from Montreal, went to go see my Australian friend to show me how to build an ice rink. And so I built that last year, and this year was just kind of putting it back together. And I made it a bit bigger this year, and height wise, it's a little taller, but it's all set up, and it's snowing here right now, so it's filling up with snow and a bit of water because it's kind of snow drizzle. But the
Pretty
end game
sweet.
is I have to fill it up, and then it should be good to go soon. So if you wanna leave your warm sunny atmosphere and come on a piece of cold block of ice, let me know.
That's pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, but
I, uh,
yeah, it's fun building. Yeah, cool. All right,
I think my
so let me get back to this.
building will end up being like making a big pile of leaves and having the 1-year-old just jump in it, and then when
Okay,
something lands on her, scream. But whatever, we'll see. So
all good.
I dropped a link in the Discord a minute ago. There is
Yeah.
something about sort of having the jobs and steps refer back to each other back and forth in terms of like if you wanted to have an if statement and whether or not like one
Okay.
step to follow the other. I think actually once we're into this part of the syntax of steps instead of jobs, it is
Okay.
sequential. If it was jobs, then it would be in parallel unless you told it like, hey, this has to run first and XYZ.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
what I'm trying to do is, what's that?
I'm just looking at I just pulled up the steps.if there,
Mhm.
just checking
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to the part that we wanted to sort of check on. So I'm trying to see if there's a syntax that I can use to sort of say like, you know, this step this step output is
Hmm.
not equal to true, I think is what we're looking for. So I'll say it's steps dot validate dot outputs. dot
Okay.
tweet equals to, I'll try that.
Yeah. I
Then,
think
good.
I was gonna say one of the things I like about the GitHub Actions is they give you all these variables to you. You know, like
Uh-huh.
if you had to code this by hand, like pulling out all this information from these steps and stuff, it's like it seems pretty sweet the amount of stuff they give you in terms of tools to work within the workflow. So
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I I grabbed a reusable action that I had found, and I want to see if this works for us. So this one is called I think it's like snow-action/tweet, and
okay,
then you give it some environment variables, and we can set the secrets to these different values within like the test repo we're putting on. But in the meantime, I'm looking to see what else it needs here. Okay, it needs
yeah,
width.
I'll have to hook up my test user with my test Twitter account that I use for because I created a browser extension for Twitter a while ago, so I ended up
Oh,
creating this test account because I think I
I
told
guess
you
you
this
can like
already.
regenerate the keys and stuff, or whatever you need to
Yeah,
do.
well, I didn't need keys for it because it's just the browser extension, but it's just funny because when I made this extension for accessibility, so like if you have it only works on desktop because it's an extension, but if you're like tweeting out photos that don't have alt text, it'll just prompt you, but it's kind of non-invasive. I was originally testing it on my own account, and then like because I was doing this like late at night when I first released it, and I wasn't even thinking, so I was like, I think after
Mhm.
about 10 test tweets, I'm like, oh crap, it's obvious, but like I'm spamming people that follow me, so I was
Yeah.
like, so then I created this other account, White Claw 2000. I don't know. Somebody was talking about White Claw that night, so I just decided to call it White Claw 2000. But so if anybody wants to give White Claw 2000 a follow, that's my test Twitter account. But yeah, I'll like I don't know if we'll get it today, but once we actually test the tweet with a GitHub user, I'll probably need to create a test GitHub account too. So
Oh, right. Yeah. So I think at this point, like I don't know, you can probably still see it on live share. I think if we were to test it with this Twitter action, this is probably about the way that we would keep it.
yeah,
So, if I scroll up a bit to look at the group overall, I have two
yeah,
steps. One of them is validation, and that's what we've been kind of working on lately. And then the second
hmm
one is sending the tweet. So, oh, and before I forget, I did sort of stub out up here on line 29. This, I think, is the conditional that we would need to prove out that github.event.pull-request.merged being equal to true.
okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah, like once you feel like, okay, this, as it runs today, anytime that we run this against a pull request, then it's going to kind of do its thing. And so, yeah, you could
Yeah,
spam somebody, but putting that line uncommented should make it where it only is going to happen when you actually merge the PR. That's what we hope
yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Yeah, and that'll be
Um,
the last thing we do, I think, because just
yep.
because we're still testing out the rest of it. But yeah, definitely.
So then on this one, let's see, I can paste in the Discord chat where I looked up this reusable action, and you should be able to see that. But the reason that I grabbed it is you did bring up a good point that like at some point you might want to put like something with media paths in here. And so I don't know. I haven't looked to try to figure out like how that would actually work. Part of me thinks, okay, it needs to refer to something in the repo, but I don't really know.
Yeah, we can check that
So
out.
upload media paths. Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but whatever. That's
Oh yeah,
something
that
like
would.
we can do in the future.
Yeah, that's if you want to include an attachment, I think. So
Okay.
that's something we could probably do an initial release with just
Mm,
without that, and then
yeah.
like we could create an issue saying like if they
Mm,
want to include an attachment, they can. but I'm not. It would have to be the same. Well, it doesn't have to be the same attachment, but like the way that GitHub Action would run, it
Mm,
would probably be looking for, I guess, like, you know what I mean? Because it's a repetitive thing. So it's,
yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do something like, well, no, you couldn't even use Giphy.com because that, but we probably wouldn't want to actually have an attachment because then it would get rid of the social card, which is the tweet
Right.
for
Yeah.
the PR. But
Yeah. Good point.
-1 Vortex is in the house. Hey,
Hey, how you doing, man?
yeah,
Um,
cool. So did
oh,
you want to
goodness gracious.
maybe test this out? Like, we're not going to actually
Yeah.
tweet right now, but we could
No, no.
test.
I'm just showing you like what it would look like when you did actually wire up the tweet. I think for
Okay, I
now,
got
what I
you.
want to do is I want to wire it to something different where all it does is just echo to say like, "Hey, I'm going to tweet this,"
Yeah.
instead of actually sending the tweet. So I did just notice something that if you look up in VS Code up on line 35 and 36, they mixed up the PR URL and the user URL. But
Oh, yeah, yeah.
just fix that.
Cool, cool. Good eye. Event. They look the same though. Oh no, I see what you mean. It's user.html then, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
the difference. So anyway, to kind of make this more what we want it to do, what I'm going to do is just say shell again. Then I'm going to say run. And then I'm going to say tweet.
Okay, yeah.
And then I would use, and just in order to like pass it to this thing, I would do an environment variable and set it equal to, I think, steps.validate.outputs.tweet. And I'm glad minus or Ted or whatever is in here because he knows it's crap inside out. So then we would get rid of this part.
Yeah, like that's for after obviously, but just keeping it in
Yeah.
there to
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So it should still be right because it's the idea of this thing is tweet. It's going to refer to the previous step. It's still running bash, and then I'm just going to echo and try to, say, hey, I found this thing. And then I'm going to commit that, and we'll see what we got.
Just letting -1 Vortex know something about the GitHub Action contest.
Oh, yeah, he's been working on something lately, but I don't know if that's what he has in mind for this.
Yeah, no, he's talking about he's got a Docker-based one, and it's pretty instant in terms of mounting the container and stuff. But yeah, I'm just checking because although I do work at Forum that runs Dev2, I don't know all the ins and outs of the actual GitHub Action contest, or
Hmm.
hackathon, I should say. But
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pull up the thing for him while you're doing that and just send that
cool.
his way. Get,
Do you mind if I go ahead and rerun the ones that, or rerun
yeah,
the
yeah,
one that
go
we
ahead.
had been using in the tester? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's. I'm just gonna pull it up on the screen though, just so folks. I have my blah 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 PR up still, I believe. So
Yep. I just did what you had
here we
done
go.
before about rerun jobs.
Yeah. Okay, actions. Okay, so it looks like it ran successfully. Or did you? Oh, you didn't run it yet.
I did run it. So go ahead and
Okay.
check that last one.
Yeah, so it says it was successful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, congrats on your. Okay, so we've got our template. We found the tweet, and yeah, so we're just outputting some. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I know we're not doing the actual tweet yet, but this is pretty
Close.
good. Yeah.
It's close. And I tell you what, I think if you are looking at sort of the result on this one, in that log, line 32 is the tweet that we were supposedly like, that's the echo right at the end of the
Yeah.
first step. So it's got the pull request URL and it's also got your user URL. And I think it's multiple lines is what like the way that tweet would actually lay out. But
Okay.
for whatever reason, or it might have like new line characters in it. For whatever reason, when it made it into the next step, it only kept the first part of it. I don't know why, because it says, okay, I found this tweet.
Yeah.
It says found tweet, and then it says congrats on the first merge, Nikki T online, but that's all it says. It doesn't have anything after that. So I don't know if there's something else, but anyway, I'm kind of curious if there's like something I'm missing, but it's pretty close in terms of like the behavior that we want. You know, we can getting from one place to the next. So if you got any ideas, man, just jump in. What were we saying, Nick?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, do you want to test if it was merged or not? Like, I can create another test PR. I'm curious to see if it will.
Oh, if it sees the second one? Yeah.
Yeah. Because what I'll do is I gotta
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and uncomment the if there, like if it's merged or not. And I'm just gonna make another, not fake PR, but not so great PR. Okay. Oh, and the other thing is this action runs on main, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It runs main of GH tester. Yep. That's right.
Okay, cool. No, because I just had a thought, because like sometimes I've worked at places where it's like we start off with a branch that like we all do PRs to, because it's like maybe it's like a feature that we need all our stuff, but we need to have our own stuff reviewed. So like if that PR got merged into that branch, it's not the main. So I just want to make sure that actions not run on the main. So cool. I'm just gonna spin open Gitpod here real quick, and I'm just gonna make another branch and just make something up. I'll change some text or something.
Okay.
And cool. Just let's see here. Modify the README. I'll add YOLO. Whoops. That's one thing. That's the one thing that trips me up in online IDEs still is you don't always have the same keyboard shortcuts. Like I went to go open up my terminal and it didn't happen because the shortcut I have, I don't know if it's the default VS Code one, but you do command backtick, or is it control backtick? I can't remember. Okay, it's mapped differently than all right, cool. Whatever, I got a terminal. All right, so let's do a git add, git commit, YOLO. Oh, it would help if I said git commit -m. All right, cool. And let's create a new branch. So git check it, YOLO. Okay, GitHub PR create. I don't have the GitHub CLI. Okay, let's just push it. Git push. I'm gonna get that error. Okay, copy this. Yes, allow. All right, cool. So my branch is up. I'm just gonna close that. I'm going to create another pull request. Okay, cool. So you have the if deployed?
Yeah, I believe I do.
Okay. So in theory, there's a couple things. This PR I just created shouldn't, the action will probably run, but it's not gonna go to, because of the if, it's gonna.
Well, if neither one has been merged, then neither one will be precluded until one of them gets merged. Like the search should still retrieve 0 results until that first one actually gets merged.
Yeah. Okay. So if I do merge this, we'll have to create another test repo, but that's okay. So okay.
But you're right that because we're requiring merged, it should preclude that step. You're right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the action did run. I can see it on the screen here, but yeah, like you said, it skipped the rest. So that's good. So now let's, for fun, okay, I'm going to merge the second one, the one I just created, because that will test two things. One, that it's merged, and also that it's not the first PR. But I imagine it's fine. But okay, so I'm going to merge this pull request. Okay, and let's go check out the actions. Okay, it's running. It's probably going to be done before I open it. Okay, so it's running. Nice. Okay, so it did do the whole flow. So that's cool. We validated that the action still runs, obviously, but it did run only to completion once we had the if merge it, because this was the one that got merged. And let's try one other thing. Just put on my QA hat. So I have this other PR still. I'm gonna merge this one now. Okay, I got to resolve conflicts. Great. All right. Yeah. It's okay. I use this browser extension called Refine GitHub, and it gives you like VS Code like stuff in some cases. So like, because I'm pretty sure this isn't native to GitHub, but anyways, I'm gonna accept both changes, and let's just mark it as resolved and commit. Okay, and then okay, gonna merge it. Our action is gonna run again, which is expected, and it should not do much really. Okay, that's idle. Okay. Oh, interesting. So it ran again. So it said congrats on your first merge. So that means there's something with, yeah. So I remember when we were talking about it last week, we were looking
Let's
at
see
the
if I can
GitHub
find it.
API.
Yeah.
So
Okay. We were looking at the
yeah,
search thing.
yeah. I mean, we definitely want it to run on the merge for sure. But yeah, the question is
What did it?
this, yeah. So we're trying to see, okay, this is a pull request being merged. Does this particular user have any commits in the repository first? If they don't, then we know it's their first pull request. Because I remember I got not confused, but I wasn't thinking properly last week because in the form repo, we squash our merges. So like you could have 200 commits and it's always going to be one commit. So, I was saying like check on the pull request because if there's one there, I mean, no, it's true. I guess we could just see, do they have, oh no, that was the check we wanted to do. Is there at least one merge pull request from this user already in the repo? If there is, then we don't do anything. That's what I think that's what we came to the conclusion last week.
I think so. So I'm trying to see.
Oh, Discord just died on me.
Here.
And we're back.
Oh, did something drop off?
Yeah, Discord just totally checked out for a second and rebooted. It's okay.
Oh.
I'm back. I just got to get back to my main screen now. Here. That was very weird. I don't know. Maybe it's I upgraded to macOS Monterey like a week and a half ago, but we streamed last week with it and it was fine, but who knows. All right, cool. Oh, I got to pop it out though. There we go. We're back in business. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, I guess and actually now that we have two pull requests merged in there, we can actually run that query with the GitHub API to just see like, is there at least one in there, and then we should be good.
I was gonna go just to see what it would kick back. Let me see. I'm gonna paste the link of what I'm trying at the moment, but I don't know if it. And
okay, validation failed. The listed users and repositories cannot be searched because they. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to let me make the repo public. I think that's what it is. Settings, change visibility, make public. There we go. YOLO. People are gonna be like, "What is this new project Nick's working on? What's this reload PR?" There we go. Okay. Visibility. Okay, it ran okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So what were you running exactly? I'm trying to look at it in the menu, in the URL bar up here.
Oh, in the URL? Yeah. If you, I guess to tell you where it came from or like where I went back and retrieved it from, in VS Code, it's on line 39.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, you have it in there. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So we're in the repo, the user, or the login actually, and then whether or not it was merged. And yeah, what we ran into there was the. So I mean, it's an interesting failure mode, but basically, if the search came back as not validated, then you're definitely not going to have any total count on the search result. And so, yeah.
I'm looking at the URL that you have there on line 39, and it's saying /search/issues. Should that be /pulls?
So that's one thing that I've learned lately is that apparently, technically, pull requests are issues that just have commits attached to them. So if you ever, the clue for me was that if you follow the numbering, it's the same numbering. Like there can't be an issue number 39 and a pull request number.
Yeah, Yeah, no, that is true.
Um,
I just never clued into that. I just
I
thought it
didn't
was a
really
counter
either.
in
I
the.
mean, the other things that I've run into is like when you use OctaKit,
Yeah.
if you try to run queries in OctaKit for like comments on PRs, you start to figure out that it's issue comments is the API thing that you're using, and you're like,
Okay.
oh, okay, yeah, I've run into that before. I think that the fact that we have the is colon pull request in the search query is what makes the delineation. And
Okay.
then also the part that you had added about is merged. But yeah, I
Just
think that was the way that I've heard like Brian explain it as, oh, it's issues that have commits attached to them and etc.
yeah, no, that makes sense now. Okay, so we're querying the repo. Author is me. Is a pull request merged, and it's saying less than or equal to 1. Actually, no, that's not what we want to. That's not what we want to check. We want to check, is there at least 1? So we want to say greater than or equal to 1, not less than or equal.
Well, if it's the first one, then it's really actually like exactly equal to 1. If it's greater than, then it's not the first one.
Sorry, what I meant was we could kind of flip how we're checking if it's the first one. So what I
Mm.
mean is we kind of want to say not this, but like we want to run a query, because like I'm just gonna go back to the query in the repo is merge. Wait, where is? Oh no, it's in the JQ. Okay, yeah,
Mm.
sorry, I can't really change that unless we run it. But yeah, like I'm thinking, because if we, I'm trying to think here, because if we're just checking that the total count is greater than 0, we know that it's not the first one. I know it sounds,
Mm.
it's the opposite, I know, but I wonder if that would change anything or not. You know what I mean? Like you could not that, but is it really make? Yeah,
One thing
I'm
that I'm
wondering
going
if
to
it.
try is I think the one that you merged latest was blah blah, right? Not the other one.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It was the first one we created, but it was the second one we merged.
okay. And then I just ran it again, and like, sure enough, it found it, or it decided that this was. Oh wait, okay. View latest attempt. Sorry, let me try this again. Got
Okay,
it.
you're in the workflow on the.
I'm looking at the action, so it's under actions for GH tester.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
It
just gonna go back to the
was,
repo. Okay, so not the one 9 minutes ago. Okay, this one you just ran. Okay.
but I was trying to see, okay, did it still finish or did it not? But it still seemed to manage to finish. So I
Yeah,
don't
it still
really,
says found tweet.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'll try it in terms of what you're saying, in terms of like less than or equal to 1, because if I look at the value that it comes up with right
Yeah, the
now,
count we
I look at that
says 2
search, it
though.
says,
Yeah, no, I mean your thing should be fine. I was thinking of something else originally, but because like I think you get max 25 results back, but that doesn't really matter in our use case. Like even if it
right.
gets capped, as soon as there's more than 1, we know that, like, so I think checking if it's merged, if
Mm.
there's only 1 PR that's merged in the count is 1, yeah. And you might as
Can
well
you
make it
see?
equal. Can I
Yeah,
see your?
it does. I was going to ask, can you see my terminal in VS Code?
Yeah, I closed it for a second, but here, let me bring it back up.
Q. Okay, yeah, I don't even have JQ, so I don't think I
Okay.
can do anything. Never
Okay,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a JQ on my environment here.
Yeah. You could probably bash install it, but
Yeah.
I'm
So
trying to think though. Why is it total count? And right now it's returning false, or what is it return?
so the yeah, that's a good question. Let me see if it says anything on that output.
Yeah, like if
On
we
that action
output
run, like
dollar
what?
first just to see
Mm-hmm.
what it's saying,
Yeah,
because
we can update it to try it.
yeah, I'd just be
Action.
curious to see what's there. Like maybe like because everything in the if on line 41, I think if we
Mm-hmm.
just echo those all out just to see what they are, because handle is null. not equal to null, and first, yeah. And we could also just like, we could say echo, handle space $handle or something like that, or just so we know that there's something being outputted. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what it outputs, because that's what brings us in there, right? So
Yeah. And I thought that let's just see what it says.
but I think you're right though, like putting it true in the quotes and stuff in the check, because it's bash. I think you don't have an option. I think you have to do that. So okay, so let me go back to the actions. And so you're gonna
Do you want
rerun the last one?
I can, yeah. I can rerun it. So on the blah blah.
Okay. Yeah.
Glad you're QA in, man, because I'm more like super optimistic on the happy path. I'm like, yeah, happy path, let's go.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Um,
it's good. It's definitely good to get the happy path working. It's just
mhm. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got things
for
popping in
sure.
my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
There's
see. It said less than or equal to 1. So why would it say, yeah, I don't get why it would do that. But I guess one thing that we could do is we could say
How come I don't see that?
count.
Am I looking
We
at the
can
wrong
count it.
one?
What's that?
I'm looking at the blah blah tweet attempt 26. Is that the one you're looking at? I think I'm looking at the
Uh,
wrong one, I think.
did you
Let
merge
me
blah
go.
blah or the other one? You merged both of them. You just merged
Yeah,
one later. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Let me
All
just
right.
go back to the
So
actions branch. So you ran the blah blah the last workflow again, right? Okay,
I think,
it succeeded 20 minutes ago in 3 seconds. Why is it saying 22 minutes ago?
yeah. I'm also gonna. I just pushed another change. I'm gonna rerun it. Echo the
Okay,
count value. That
I'll let you rerun that, and then I'll be okay. I see it. It's the top one. I think I was looking at the bottom one. That was my problem.
I don't know.
I assume the most recent one was the bottom one, but that's my
Yeah,
bad.
I grabbed the count value and then I didn't echo it. All
All
right.
right, so we look here. Okay, so it just says handle.
Yeah, I forgot to echo the count. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
this is what it was like last Thursday or whenever it was. 'Cause I was like, why is this thing doing it wrong? I did you ever end up getting any like feedback from anybody about the best way to test these things?
I haven't yet because I got a little busy with work, but I
Right
think
on.
it'd be something interesting to talk to.
I remember during that Twitter Spaces, I think Brian kind of teased out like, "Oh, there's something coming."
Yeah, because
I'm curious on
I
that.
can't I can't think of another way to test this aside from like
Oh,
doing what we're doing right now. But you could definitely automate it. Like you could have something where like you
and,
have like a CI/CD to test your thing, where you're like, okay, deploy the action, create a fake, create a test repo, create a test PR, like you
mhm,
can automate all that, but it
yeah.
definitely feels like that could be something that gets popped into the product itself, I think. So, all right,
So that
so
last run shows part of our issue.
opening it up.
Yeah.
Okay, why am I not? Okay, count bad credentials. Okay, that'll do it.
Uh,
True. Yeah. Okay, but
so
that's good though.
yeah, I mean,
All
it
right.
definitely gives us a clue as to what's wrong. I mean, I think that if you look at line like 37, 39, 40, we were using this might be another case of like an environment variable that we think is there, but in fact is not there. So
Yeah.
if we can kind of figure that out.
It's weird though. We're passing in the GitHub token, so
Thing
weird.
is like we're passing it, but we're passing it the environment variable that may actually not be there. That's what I'm curious about. Like that's pretty much what bit me at the end of last time is that that GitHub token
Yeah.
or it wasn't the GitHub token, it was the inputs underscore something that I thought was there, but it actually wasn't.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I have a question. Why are we doing the count on line 39? That's the
mm.
same query as the one in the first variable, right? The only difference is we're piping the JQ.
Yeah, so first we're piping to JQ count. I wanted to see like what that curl command sent back.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Because I had assumed that it would have a token or it would have a total count value in it. because if I'm logged into GitHub and I put in that URL, then it's pretty much the same as having a GitHub token. But here, I'm going to see, let me see if this works. I found a dev2 post. I don't know if it's right or not. It should be because it was apparently written by GitHub. Let's
Okay.
see.
It's written by GitHub. It's gotta be legit.
It should be good, yeah. So I pasted that in Discord.
Cool. Send a bit for our folks at home. All right. So it's special access token, and yes, we're accessing it as secrets.github token, or are we?
Well, actually, that's the thing. We didn't access it as anything other than an environment variable called GitHub token, but I'm not 100% sure that that environment variable is actually there. So like if you scroll down
Yeah.
in some of the code examples, they show you like have to give it that.
Yeah, I think you have to generate. I could have sworn it was automatically created, but I think you do have to generate it.
Yeah, I feel like you have to at least pass it in as something that
Yeah.
can be used. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see if this change works okay.
Cool. I'm also gonna probably have to drop off in about 10 minutes, but
Okay, sounds good.
still only
Figured,
got about an hour right now these days.
no doubt. All right.
But no, this is good. I'm glad we're making good progress. It's good when things blow up. Makes you dig
Yeah.
into things.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and rerun it with that
Okay.
hopefully published. See what it does.
Okay, let's see here. Blah blah. Let's open this up. Okay, yeah, now we're getting a count. Except we're getting the proper payload back now. And then
And we also have it set to false.
yeah.
Or we
Cool.
have first set to false.
All right, so that was it. So what did you do exactly? Did you just create the environment variable? I didn't see what you changed.
Okay, yeah. So what I changed is on line 33. And so it was a pretty similar to thing to what messed me up last time. And I kind of should have had a clue that like, hey, you shouldn't assume those environment variables are there. I thought that
Okay.
GitHub token was already set for us.
Oh, okay.
And
Gotcha.
like I did the same thing with the inputs message or inputs template or whatever.
Okay.
So here we are setting the environment variable template equal to GitHub token. And in fact, like if you look at if you look at like line 35, 36, 37,
Yeah, GitHub.
39,
Yeah.
yeah, we could have done that all in a very similar way as we did in line 32 or 33. And we
Yeah.
still could. Like you could set all those environment variables to whatever's in that GitHub context, and then the only thing that's
Yeah.
actually in your bash is just the curl calls and kind of the
Yeah.
interlocking logic or whatever.
Yeah, you could do that for, well, I guess it's probably not that expensive to set them even if we don't end up using them, but in this case I think we have to use them all. I could
Yeah.
see that being useful too if you're like have some composite action too, like if you maybe you pass those environment variables into like another action or something,
Mm-hmm.
because if it's in the run, it's only scoped to the run, I guess.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah.
think that what I have gotten a sense of is that so runs using and composite. I don't remember if we actually specify like on Ubuntu latest or what, like if that shows up anywhere, but I don't see it like in the workflow file. But in any case, I think that the steps actually share like environment variables back and forth. And I was just reading an article a minute ago due to that multi-line output thing. So I'll
Yeah.
paste it in the Discord real quick because I think this is probably what we're running into.
Yeah.
And the article just talks about, if you're using multi-line strings and you're kind of setting them back and forth, like from one step to the next, then how do you accomplish that? Because apparently, it really is the first line only, like because you're
Yeah, exactly.
echoing, into the set output, you're only grabbing that first part. And so I guess they list out like 2 or 3 options to accomplish sharing it.
Gotcha.
So might have to do it
Oh, that's
next
cool.
time.
But this is cool though. We essentially have everything working. Like we haven't tweeted anything out yet, obviously, because we need to set
Mhm.
up a test account for that. But we've we've been able to get it to run successfully. Then we
Mhm.
put the check on to see if it's if it's a merge PR only. That worked. Then we ran
Yep.
into some issues with it finding the first one. We found that out. Learned a little bit about the setting the environment variable and not assuming things. But this is all good because I like it when we kind of get stuck on things because then, like I said, we dig a bit and then now we know what the problem is and everything
Mhm.
seems to be working. So like the last step at this point really is just tweet it out with the default template, and
Yep.
then and then I'd say I don't know, did we already put in place a custom template option, or I don't think we did yet.
Yeah. So we have,
Okay.
if you look in live share on VS Code, pretty much line 9 through 18 is what we're working on there.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you've got the template as the name of the input, and it is required, but it also has a default. And
Yeah.
part of what we're running into in passing to the next step is like if you look at it, it's got multiple lines, and it's the first line is congrats on the first merge, your handle,
Yeah.
which we're getting. But then you got 2 or 3 more lines that show the URL for the PR and also the
Hmm.
URL for the user. And those are
Yeah.
not making it in like as it gets passed from one step to the next. And that was, the one
Yeah.
other thing to look out. So, after the stream, I'll probably work on like seeing if I can get it to actually pass over the wall of multi-line string and also clean some of the debugging up that we have here.
Yeah.
It is worthwhile to point out what we did find out about like, hey, this is it makes sense. Like it's a public repo and it needs to be in order for this search thing to work.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know, you wouldn't really use this on anything other than a public repo, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird to give a shout out to your coworker or
Yeah.
teammate in a in a private repo to say,
Mhm.
"Hey, congrats on that PR that nobody can see." Yeah, yeah. So I think we could safely assume like this is meant for a public repo, you know. But and I think for the multi-line, I think all you need to do is this. I forget. It's either backslash or front slash. I forget which, but bash.
I might have lost your editing where you're at. Oh, okay, I
Okay.
see you. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it's
the thing that I'm seeing here is that I've actually run into this a little bit in the past. If you look at line 13, it has that caret character. The but if you run down to line like 34, it's a pipe. So
yeah,
when you're giving inputs to this YAML syntax, the pipe one is what it uses to sort of interpret it literally as a multi-line input. And when you're running a group of bash commands, you need it to be like truly a multi-line input. The
yeah.
caret character apparently is like maintain white space, but like it's really just for convenience. So
Oh,
it's
okay. Gotcha.
I think is why it's there. However, I think if you put a double new line, I think it actually does put one in there.
Yeah, because it's the
Anyway.
actual character, not just
Mhm.
white space. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So anyway, I've run into that before, and where it bit me on an action, and I know you got to go here pretty soon. What
Yeah,
it was
no.
doing was I had that PR compliance thing, and what it would do is it would ignore it. It would ignore the PR if it was Dependabot,
Okay.
because when Dependabot puts in PRs, it doesn't link issues, and that makes sense. Like there isn't an existing issue that it's trying to address; it's just trying to update, the versions of your dependencies. And
Yeah.
so, part of the point of that action is to say, like, hey, we need to enforce that your PRs are linked to issues. And so for
Yeah.
Dependabot, it makes sense. So it ignores Dependabot. But what we ran
Yeah.
into is that I had two Dependabot handles. There was one that has like the word bot on the end, and the other one doesn't. But I
Okay.
didn't use pipe character to break that out. I used a caret, and it actually broke the action, made it so that it didn't recognize that it needed to ignore it, and it like Vortex might still be in there, but he joked about how,
Yeah.
hey, Dependabot got invited to join the Discord.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
I think your video went off on my Discord because I just killed the screen sharing, and now I realized my camera was off and then yours was off too. So I don't know if you can,
You want me
but
to
yeah.
jump back on, or do you need to jump back or jump off?
Oh, no, I'm gonna be jumping off, but I was just gonna, yeah, I just thought we could just, well, we pretty much wrapped up things here. So, but yeah, so yeah, I think next week we'll sync up before we stream next week, and I'll get a test GitHub user set up with my White Claw 2000 Twitter account,
Sounds
and
good.
and then I think we're pretty much in the home stretch, like we might have to, I think after we get this working, we can update some documentation probably, and we're
Yeah.
in a pretty good place, I think. But I am still curious about the testing of GitHub Action, like you were saying, because right now the
Mhm.
only way I see it working is really, create your own test repo. But I feel like this is like you were saying, B Dougie was kind of alluding to maybe there's something coming. I could totally see like some kind of sandboxed area where you just say like run my GitHub action in this fake repo that gets destroyed every, time you run the test or something. But
Well, I think they have things in place because they like for enterprise accounts. I think you can actually like host your own runners or whatever they call them. There's a means for people to have that for like their on-prem version of GitHub, which is like an enterprise
yeah,
customers kind of situation. They can still use actions, but they host
yeah,
everything that's related to it. So there's that. But then there's the things that I've thought about, and I can't remember I need to see if I can find it. It's like Actions Runner is literally the name of the repo, something like that. Runner, is it Runner? Or maybe it's like there's something that it's meant specifically to help like run tests for GitHub Actions, but I don't know if it's the thing that I'm not sure about whether or not it gives you is like there's a lot of context here just for GitHub itself. Like
yeah,
you know, if we were inferring everything from I think there's an environment variable called GitHub event path, and it's a
yeah,
big JSON object that just has a shit ton of stuff. If we were inferring everything from that, then you could conceivably like construct a JSON object that was pretty much what you needed, and you could have it in your own environment to make sure
yeah,
that your portions of the bash stuff ran. Like simulating passing to the next thing, I don't know, but
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
No, that
it's a
makes
lot of
sense.
concepts to like carry through and somehow emulate. But it's also like part of the attractive thing about what you get with it is all that context to be able to work within it. So
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure, man. Well,
so
listen, I gotta jump off, but it's good chatting as always, man. And yeah, we'll catch up early next week, and then I think we're pretty close to getting the whole thing working. So
cool.
thanks again for hopping on, man, and thanks for all